Whether you're a designer just starting out or you're new to design entirely, typographic knowledge is one of the greatest things that you can learn. The web is so much of a visual medium that everything on there is basically made up of type. And whether or not you're designing something yourself or working with a designer, having a vocabulary for typography will give you a greater appreciation of the work that they're doing and will allow you to understand what something looks like when it's good or when it's bad. The principles of typography between print and the web are largely the same, with two big exceptions. One is the web is a variable medium. So when you set type on a web page, someone might see that on a desktop or a laptop or a tablet or a phone. The way that you set that type needs to understand those conditions and still be legible and still be pleasing to read. Also, everything that you load onto a web page is an asset that needs to come from a server somewhere else. So the more fonts that you put on a page, the slower your website's going to be. The most important thing about typography is that you're setting type for someone else to read. And that type not only needs to be legible, but readable. Legibility means that someone can actually see the letter forms and understand what they mean. Readability means, do they want to read it? Is it something that's inviting? And the way that you set your type will convey some sort of message. It could be open and pleasing, it could be standoffish, it could be strong, it could be brash, it could be soft and gentle. All of these things are wrapped up in the way that you set that type. When it comes to legibility, we're really talking about the principles of typesetting. Is the spacing right? Is the size of your type large enough so that someone can read it from the distance they're sitting at? Does the color provide enough contrast to be legible? Is the spacing of the lines correct for the size of type that you're using? All of these things come together to basically amount to some sort of legibility. If you're just starting out with typography, two of the things that are easy considerations to make are just making your type large enough to be read and choosing a typeface that's suitable for what you're trying to say. Good typography fades to the background. It's sort of a silent partner for the story that's being told. If it's calling attention to itself, it's taking attention away from the story. When it comes to typefaces and fonts, a lot of people use these terms interchangeably, but a typeface and a font are something different. The designer Nick Sherman summed this up well. A typeface is to a song as a font is to an MP3. So a type designer will design a typeface, let's say that it's Proxima Nova, and that typeface as it exists on your computer will be in a font file. In the case of Proxima Nova, you might have Proxima Nova bold.ttf. That's the font. It's also helpful to understand the difference between typography and lettering. Typography is all about typesetting. You're using fonts to create reproducible results that are exactly the same every time. Lettering is more akin to illustration or drawing of letter forms for sort of a one-off use. Classifications are ways to describe typefaces. Just as you might have genres of movies or songs, you have sort of genres of typefaces too. And these are representative of not only when they occurred in history, but what the letter forms look like. Some examples might be ones that you've heard of before: serif, sans serif, monospaced. But there are some really deep holes that you can go down into history here too. Different kinds of serifs, from spur to bracketed, old style, transitional. And a lot of this is probably more than you need to know on a daily basis, but just know that a lot of terms are out there to describe how typefaces look. Typeface anatomy is probably exactly what you think it is. This could be the stem of a letter, the opening inside of an O, if an A or a G is one story or two story, the X height of a letter. All different pieces of letter forms have names. Again, you might not need to know all of these, but it's helpful to understand that there not only are names for these things, but some typefaces have different looking letter forms than others. Typography is a practice that really rewards lots more research and delving deeper into the details. I hope that you see how much typography really can add to your design and really make what you want to say that much better.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest videos.